we're going to leave contract and all that kind of stuff aside for now. There's other shows coming up on Redmen up throughout the next couple of hours and days where we'll speak more about Mo Salah's future. Let's talk about Mo Salah's now, John, his present. I think Liverpool scored 7 goals this year, and Mo Salah's scored, assisted, or one of them. He played the ball to the guy who assists it. Like he's in. Like you talk about the form. Like if he's trying to earn a new contract or whatever, he's doing it because they couldn't get near him.
He's in such a great place at the moment, isn't he? I mean, he's on fire in terms of his form. He looks happy. You know, maybe all that hair gone. Yeah, that's really helped him. He's just and the honesty. You don't want to talk about the contract, but the honesty with which he answered those questions about it, you know, and at the same time talking about his daughter having a Scouse accent and all that kind of stuff. You know, he just seems like a happy man at the moment. You know, on top of his game, and if you've got a player like that on your side, it must be brilliant for all the other players. You know, to know that you've got that quality. And I'm thinking about Chiesa in the. Chiesa in the stand watching him thinking I'm an understudy to that, you know. And Diaz is the other one. Oh my god, what am I doing here?
I've been playing League Cup games, but I suppose Pete, like, let's go assist goal. So both assists are just genius. I think Gary Neville again on commentary said, like, you know, both sides have had half chances, but the difference has been Liverpool have had that world class player in Mo Salah to do something. And he's right, like they are both of them, the ball and the pass into Luis Diaz. You talk about Mo Salah, the goal scorer, that'll come, but like Mo Salah, the creator now and the assist there and things, they're genius, both of them.
Yeah, but maybe Haaland has helped him in that he probably knows he's going to have to score 3 a game himself to keep up with him, and he's become less selfish, which I think at times you could certainly accuse him of. And you know, he said at the end, and you know, it was all about getting the team win, all about getting the goals, and then he really wanted to add to it himself, and that did seem the priority, because after he scored, he tried to score again. It was probably the most selfish moment he has, but if he does tell a 3-0 up when we're dominating him, that's all right. It's when he does silly things when it's 0-0 that you get upset, but he didn't. As I said before, both assists were just so quick thinking, first time, right foot, so quick with the outside of his foot, the other pass, and then his goal itself, he took that first time, which we didn't always see from him. So yeah, it's he just looks as good as he's ever looked, which never looked possible towards the end of last season. 15 goals now against Manchester United, John. 10 at Old Trafford. Like you talk about the INEOS and the Glazers. I mean, Mo Salah owns Man United at this moment in time. Like that's just ridiculous, because that's the biggest game, really. A game that Liverpool, like, listen, Liverpool have lost some of those games.
Normally, when you have that kind of talk before a game, then nothing happens. You don't score, but you know, Mo, you can't stop him. I mean, United just don't seem to have a clue what to do with him.
Well, only 4 players have scored more goals at Old Trafford since 2021. Rashford, Fernandes, Ronaldo, McTominay, and then it's Mo Salah. Like that's just a joke, Peter. Like 10 goals in like 5 years, and he's the 4th highest scorer at the stadium, 5th highest scorer at the stadium. It's ridiculous.
Well, as you say, you'd think going into it that United must be going, well, we'll just make sure he doesn't do anything, and maybe even to the extent because he's getting the assist, he might have thought they had a bit of peace, but. No, he just looks so confident there, and it's when he had that chance we said before and he missed it, and he's laughing afterwards, like he was having fun, and like he even said, I love this pitch, I love this stadium, which is not something you normally want to hear from a Liverpool player, but it's because he just knows, as you say, he owns Old Trafford. He is the player there who, no matter what, he finds the back of the net, and if the rest of the team can be as good as he is and was, you know, we wouldn't have lost some of the other games. Now we're winning 3-0, and you know, I wouldn't bet against him doing the same at Anfield.
I know we have played cup competitions and stuff, John, I understand it, but like, look, if you look at the teams, Mo Salah, he scored loads against Man United. I think next on that list, I think Manchester City are there as well. Like, you know, there's talk like stat padders, or like, Mo Salah does it in the biggest of games. He scored 10 goals at Old Trafford. Like, the game that it is the hardest game, I think, in terms of atmosphere that Liverpool ever play, really. Manchester City and recently Arsenal perhaps have become more in terms of like the ability of the football team, because Man United haven't been great, but he rises to the occasion.
He's still got to face that crowd.
Yeah, and he rises to the occasion.
When they're like us, you know, when they start the game, they're really optimistic about how it's going to go. So it's quite intimidating, but it doesn't seem to bother him, does it, at all?
I suppose as well, Pete, like, because he ended last season poorly, I think it's fair to say.
I think after he came back from Africa and got the injury.
Well, I would say injury and then back and then injured again. He obviously wasn't. And there was talk of, you know, if the money comes in, maybe you take it. And again, the contract situation, which we all know we spoke about, plays into this. But I mean, he looks as good as ever. Like this, there's no signs of this fella's slowed down at all so far this season. He said he's having fun, he's playing with a smile on his face, he's quite free to go and play football. And you can tell that because, like I say, this is 3 teams now who really haven't been able to lay a glove on him. And I understand Ipswich and Brentford, and the manager himself said, we're good teams, but we don't expect them to be top half teams. Man United are expected, given what they've done and what they've spent and who they are, to be at least challenging for the Champions League. Yeah. Maybe, I mean, there's some delusions of title, but he's done it now against everyone. No one's laid the glove on him. It's been a wonderful start to his season.
Yeah, he's, I said before, as good as he's ever been, and it's just a joy to watch. And I know you don't want to talk about the contract thing, but the way he said afterwards is that it's, this is my last year, whether that's a ploy or whatever. He seems to like almost use that as a weight off his shoulders, that I'm going to have to enjoy myself. This could be the last time I go to Old Trafford.
It's a bit like Luis Suarez it is last season at the moment, sort of almost trying to win the title on his own, And let's hope he keeps it up for the rest of the season.
Yeah, let's hope it isn't as well.
I'll tell you what struck me. I looked at the stats this morning, and they're almost identical, United and Liverpool. 50% possession, something like 370 passes. I think there was like 2 passes difference between them. All the stats looked like, if you looked at the stats, you'd think this was a draw.
Yeah, even the XG was close.
We were so much better than them.
Because our players are just better, and he was a level above anything. That's the difference. Again, Gary Neville got a lot wrong, including on this goal when he said, "Give us a Kobe Mainoo, we can keep the ball," and then 3 seconds later he's on the floor, and Alexis McAllister, World Cup winners, just showed him the levels of the game. But then Mo Salah shows them the levels, because that finish, I mean, let's talk about the finish first. It's so quick. Yeah. It's so deadly. It's like that killer instinct that he's got. He's always had it, of course. Like he's a great player.
Saw the keeper was nowhere.
And that helps. We'll talk about that in a second. But like, it is just that killer instinct to get the ball in the back of the net. He is just a different level of player than like most Premier League teams can even begin to think about coping with.
Yeah, but as you say, when you're in good form, those things come easy to you. I think maybe the end of last season he takes a touch there, and the keeper gets in a better position, defenders over, and it's tougher for him. But it's coming across for the left footed as well, the way it was coming towards him to then arc the shot round, and Onana's terrible, but it's still great what he does, and he just looks so sharp and so happy at the moment. I think even Sturridge said at the end, I've never seen him look this happy, and yeah, it's a testament to whatever he's done and whatever Slot's done to just make him look so free and so fresh.
He looks like the type of player, John, who he sets such high standards, and we know he's after every record, he's after every trophy. He's a very demanding man of himself, and it looks like he was half pissed off at our last season ended, and he's been working hard all summer. He's had his hair done, fantastic. Like he was on the first day of pre-season, captain's armband on best player. He looks like he's took that pace, like the Michael Jordan meme of I took that personally. I think Mo Salah heard a lot of the conversations that happened towards the end of last season, and he's come back and gonna have a bit of this. My demise, you are very, very premature in writing me off.
Absolutely. I mean, he's had a nice summer. He probably played football every summer for however long, years and years back. He suddenly had a summer where he's free and he could relax, and he's come back and I remember we did debate whether we should sell him or we shouldn't sell him. And I was saying, I don't think Mo would want to go, certainly not to Saudi Arabia, because he still thinks he can win the Champions League. He still thinks he can win the Ballon d'Or. He still thinks he can win the Golden Boot every season. He's a man who's driven to do those things. He's not going to off into the wilderness to be forgotten. Not yet, anyway.
I think if he gets 2 assists for the first 2 goals, John, can we half credit Andre Onana with an assist for Salah's goal? Because I remember the Sadio Mane and Bobby Firmino used to rob each other's celebration, and they used to just wave that little thing. Andre Onana says to Mo Salah, "Goal, fancy it, mate. Fill your boots, Mo." It's been bizarre goalkeeping.
It's like that. The Chelsea goalkeeper, what was his name? With the funny name, Arif or whatever. Yeah. Penalties, standing on one side. Go on, isn't over there? Oh, okay. It was ridiculous. It's
bizarre, isn't it? Like that. I mean, like Mo Salah scored 10 goals. Like, I'm not sure how many of them were. I mean, I know there's a couple of penalties in there. There's a couple of good one. I remember the one against Dean Henderson actually in the 4-2, and it was very similar. You just give him the goal. Yeah. There's sort of about Man United. Maybe they're just going, it's inevitable anyway. Why even bother getting dirty? You might as well score, mate. You might as well even bother diving on the floor, yeah.
Yeah, well, he showed in that corner, Onana didn't, when he was trying to intimidate Van Dijk, and he's basically just laughed in his face there. He did it at Anfield last year. I remember at the game when he turned around to the cop, like, he was the big man trying to wind everyone up. So I think he does have this arrogant, very unwarranted arrogance. But yeah, whether he thought I'll try and outpsych him, or more likely that he's just not very good at being a goalkeeper and he let half the goal open.
Typically United, haven't they? They've realised that goalkeepers these days have to be good with their feet. So they bought one who's good with his feet and crap at everything else.
Yeah, you can't save it. Which not ideal, not what you want. But
I tell you, it's summing this team up at the moment for me is that, I mean, you mentioned it before about McAllister, robbing the ball off Mainu. McAllister is playing really, really well. No one's even mentioned him. He's sort of almost invisible on the pitch. He's just going around being brilliant. And we're not even talking about him because we're so made up with Gravenberch being great, and Diaz scoring goals. And there's McAllister just going about his business, No
one's playing badly. That's how well we're doing at the moment, which is why we've won every game and I'm going to see the goal. Yeah, everyone's boss, thankfully.
Let's keep Mo Salah keeping the right type of headlines. The other headlines we can discuss in due course. But yeah, Mo, keep it up. And hopefully that wasn't your last time at Old Trafford, because I'm sure you'll score there again if you get the chance at some point down the line.